So a little bit of an early start for this one because we've got to kind of work with the tides here. So we're on the Conwy Estuary, so we've got the sea behind us and the River Conwy that way, and you can just see the bridge and the castle in the background. So it's about 10 to 8 in the morning and we're going to have a little bumble around, just see what we can see. So I've had to move inland a little bit because I was going to start a bit further up the estuary, so you can see the bridge behind me. I'd actually parked right down there where you can see the houses in the distance, and I was going to paddle in, but the flow right down there and the wind coming off the sea was a little bit too extreme for me for this morning, so I've decided to come a little bit inland. So I found this little bit where I can get in, which is safe, and you can see it's not too bad here. There's a little bit of flow coming under the bridge, but we should be able to cope with that. And yeah, let's get on with it. So, stunning early morning view of Conwy Castle. You can see it's a little bit derelict. Over the years, I guess, that's been impacted. And we're going to go under 3 bridges here. So one of them is the railway, one of them is the road, and I guess one of them is the footbridge from the look of it. So this is stunningly beautiful. So if I just turn around, you get a view into the sun. That's very bright, sun just coming out because it's about an hour after sunrise, just over. So I am being really careful with where I'm going because I don't know the depths here, and there are sandbanks. So I'm just a little bit aware of that, but we are coming up to high tide. We've got about an hour to high tide. So you can see the vans and going over the bridge. So I'm paddling against the current now. This fair old flow, but I'm making a bit of progress. So we're going to go to the other side into the harbour. You can see the sun on the harbour over there. Yeah, this is nice. Nice bit of castle up there. Over the other under the other bridge. And there is the harbour. So you can perhaps hear the wind. So now with this side of the bridge, we're out of the little lee of that little bay where we got in. Yeah, it's a little bit windy. So I'm going to go over here a little bit. So this is very pleasant. Over the other side over there, that is the Conwy. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Normally I butcher all my languages, but that's how I've heard it pronounced, so we'll go with that. And the hills in the background, and you see it's a little bit cloudy. I've guessed there's going to be some rain coming, but we have this little bit of sun on this side. So this is actually Conwy over here. Nice little village, town. It's not a town, I guess. And quite a few boats in the harbour here. Some little kind of trawler type things, yachts, and the sightseeing cruise boat over there. Nice, that would be nice. So I've got the wind now and it's blowing me from left to right, so I'm just very conscious of that. And again, being on the sea, even though it is an estuary and we're quite close to the bank, but it still has its dangers. So obviously the danger of boats, we don't want to get anywhere near the boats. We've got to be slightly aware of sandbanks. So there won't be any necessarily in this bit here. It's not going to drop that low. And as I said, we're coming up to high tide. We've got about another hour and 20 and it'll be high tide. So as you can see, I am paddling the Rockhopper and I've got my touring paddles. They're a little bit longer. These are 210s, so they're a little bit longer and a little bit more responsive for this kind of paddling, this sort of distance. But the Rockhopper is a perfect boat for this. It is designed to be a crossover kayak between sea kayak and touring, so it's in its elements here. It is very stable because of the width, and that's what you do need. That gives you a little bit of confidence. As we're heading up to the end of the, or towards the end of the harbour, Supernova 3. Wow, that is a, I was going to say catamaran, but I can see them on the other side, trimaran. Wow, that is going to get some speed up when there's a wind behind it. So I think I'm just going to go out a little bit. I don't want to go too far. Well, I'm going to go out so that I can turn and go back towards the bridges, and we should have the flow with us then. At the moment I am paddling against it. It's not that tough, but I can feel I'm definitely paddling against some kind of flow. So you see I'm doing this as a kind of a ferry glide. So I'm angling the nose of the kayak, and in the flow it's just pushing me towards the right hand side. So I've got quite an angle on because the flow is not that great. So this is where it's starting to get a little bit deeper here. As we're getting out into the main flow. So it does feel kind of exposed, but we do have buoyant things that are quite close to us, i.e. the boats. So in the event of an emergency, that could be a potential thing to hold on to. Should we end up in the water, obviously I've got my roll, but if that was to fail, then that would be a contingency. There are also these little buoys every so often, so they would be beneficial as well. So let's turn round and see what we can see. We should be able to see the castle in the distance and the bridge, and that little bit of sun. I think that's done one, and that's going, and this little rain cloud is coming over. So I did stay in a little location in Conwy last night, and it rained heavily overnight, so I'm guessing that that might continue some point today. And yeah, for a second day of our road trip, Remember, we're on a little bit of a road trip. We did a paddle yesterday and this is the second paddle we're doing. I am enjoying this. Wales always delivers. It's a nice location and obviously scenery absolutely stunning. And you might see at some point that rock thing over there, that is where the railway line goes. So the railway line goes along there. In fact, the station is somewhere up there. That is the Conwy Quay. There's the hotel. I've just been in that car park to see if there was somewhere to launch. Obviously there wasn't. They wouldn't have liked that out of their restaurant straight onto into the sea. So yeah, this is just really, really nice. So somewhere I've got I thought I had a boat behind me, but obviously we've just drifted past that. So I'm going to have a little slow paddle back down here and we're going to explore the other side of the bridge then. So we might actually go more towards the castle, but you can see that in the distance. So we've come quite a distance, we paddled up. And I can just, there's the train going across the bridge. So it comes down that side, goes round the corner. That must be pretty much a right angle round there. Anyway, goes round the corner. And then you're seeing it going over the railway bridge. And you can see how important Conwy Castle was, because anybody coming in from the sea, this would be an ideal place to actually land, coming up into an estuary and then landing over here. So we've got some boats coming towards us, so I'm going to make sure that they can see us. They are slowing down, which would indicate that they could see us. So I'm going to turn round so that I can see them, just in case they get very close. I don't know where they're going, I'm going this way. So I'm just going to keep well out of the way of them. They are aware of me, they can see me, and clearly they have slowed down. So I'll give them a little wave so they're on camera. So we are going to get some waves here, look at this. We're going to get some wake coming through. So they look like fishermen boats. So they either going, I wouldn't have thought they're going up the estuary to fish. They must be coming down. So again, I was talking about hazards. So this wake now, it's not big, but if I was sideways, you know, that's maybe not so good. So I'm going to keep my kayak pointing towards the wake, or towards the waves, sorry, so that gives me some stability. And there's only 3 or 4, a little batch of them, and then that's done. So they're going to go, they look like they're going under the bridge, which is kind of cool. So I've just stopped against this little jetty here that's holding the boats, just to change the battery on the GoPro. They don't last that long. So I've done that and I've changed it, and we're ready to move on. So down under the bridges. So as that was close to the, I was close to the side when that came past, I actually turned and faced the wake. It wasn't a very big wake, but you don't want that hitting you when you are right next to a concrete face, which that is just there. So I was just coming to fetch the camera after videoing that bit. So again, you've just got to think a little bit about keeping yourself safe. So if I'd have gone sideways like this, that means those waves would have been bashing me against this rock, which is completely barnacle covered. And as you can see there, yeah, wouldn't want to be bashing too much against that. So here we are, coming out the other side of the bridges into the sun, or at least a little bit of sun anyway. It's funny going under the bridge here, because this bit, there's definitely a flow the top side of the bridge and definitely a flow the bottom side of the bridge, but this bit under the bridge seems a bit of an enigma really, because it is flowing a little bit, but it feels quite sluggish to paddle through. So, and it's not shallow, so yeah, don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, you can see the fortifications of the castle. So I'm just going to go around the end of here. I think actually that is a little bit shallow under there. That's why it's causing that sort of difference in how it feels to paddle. So again, that's important as well. When you're paddling, you're not just using visual clues on what the water's doing, but you're listening to the boat. You're listening to how the boat feels on the water that you're paddling. Obviously, if the flow is fast, the boat is going to slide and glide. When it gets slow, it's going to be a little bit sluggish, and when it gets shallow, it might even get sluggish long before you start scraping the bottom. So there's a fast boat coming up the estuary, so he's going to come nowhere near this wall here, so I'm going to use that as my protection. You might be thinking I'm a little bit oversensitive with health and safety, but come on, I'm 54, I want to last till 55. Well, long after 55 if I'm honest. So yes, he's coming up there. So I am paddling on my own as well. So that is why I've chosen this location. I've scouted 3 or 4 locations, and that would have been putting me into a potentially compromising position, especially with the wind and the flow. So I've come to this bit where it is a little bit more flat. It's a little bit more copeable with one person. But I'm always thinking, oh, is that a heron? Oh, 2 herons, there you go. 3, 4, wow, that is the most herons I think I've ever seen altogether. 5, 6, there you go. So, perhaps there's some collective name for herons. As they're birds, I guess it's a flock. Those of you who are in the know, perhaps there's a better word for that. There we go, and that is a stunning view back up the estuary there. I don't know what that village is called on the left hand side. Perhaps I'll look that up and put it on the screen. But there you go, the little herons over there. Little, they're not little, are they? Maybe a metre wide wingspan, so that's a sizable, and there's a flock of other birds going over there. Wow. Wow, that is special. That's a lot of birds there. Flying over there. There's the heron. We may be able to just drift a tiny bit. No, he's off, or she. There you go. Wow. And then we're looking back towards the castle. So I'm just moving across the estuary here, just enjoying it really. Okay, so another boat coming, so it's my chance to kind of nip across, I guess. So the Rockhopper is good at this, actually putting the pedal down, getting a little bit of speed. You can see it carves through the water really nicely, and then it's virtually a flat deck. Where my backside is, underneath the seat, it's virtually flat. So we've got that pointed keel at the front where the toggle is, and then flat at the back. So yeah, it's nice. It can actually pull some speed through the water, and you can see what's happening to the water being pushed either side of the craft. So you see this on waves, and on a play kayak when you're surfing, sometimes when the wave hits you, it goes in your face. But with this, it actually splits the wave and pushes it either side, which is really nice. So I do love this boat, and as many of you know, I did have a little paddle of the prototype boat that Julian was building, fiberglass ones. In fact, we brought them to Anglesey and paddled them off the coast. We did some capsize practice and some rolling practice in them just to see what they were like, and they were exceptional boats. And he took those fiberglass boats to create the mould for the plastic boat that I'm paddling now. So absolutely superb craft. So it's a nice little beach here. You can see the castle further up. That boat has slowed right down, and there are some more birds on the beach over there. So very nice. Again, I'm not going to go too close because it is going to get shallow. That looks like another heron. It is. That's a heron over there. So, if you're fanatics of herons, this is the place to visit. There it goes. And, oh, not too far then. And here we are, back to where we got in. So that slipway, the clue is in the name, was very slippy. So I might actually get out on this little beach over here and just walk up. In fact, I need to go and have a look just to see if I can actually get out onto the road. I know I can just there, because there's a gap through the fence, through the wall. And you can see what looks like a cormorant just drying its wings in the sun. Nice to see. There's another heron, or no, that's the same one, I think. The same heron. So, ooh, there's a little archway down there. Hey, what's that all about? Oh, I didn't know that. So, I've got to be a tiny bit careful here because, can you see, there are some waves here. I'm not sure whether that is just left over from that boat that went past, but I'm going to have a look at that archway. So actually my car is just over the wall there, just behind those trees, but obviously I can't get out here, so let's go have a look. I wonder what it is. I'm going a little bit carefully because I don't know how deep it is, and obviously I don't want to get grounded because these will be pretty muddy underneath. Oh, we can go through. Let's go have a look. Wow. So this would have been a bridge. Maybe this is part of the moat. Interesting. Could this be part of the moat? I don't know. Wow. So we're now in a little stream going away from the castle. So I'm just keeping an eye on the depth of the water. I can now see the bottom, and in fairness this looks a bit more like a river type bottom on here. There's lots of stones, leaves and things, and it is definitely getting shallow, so I'm not going to go any further. You can see a couple of swans there enjoying this nice peaceful bit of water, so I'm not going to disturb them. So let's go back. You can see the castle there behind. Does look an old bridge, so maybe it was built when the castle was built. My paddle is scraping a little bit on the bottom here, and perhaps even in low tide maybe you wouldn't be able to get on here. Oh, look at that view coming out of here. Wow. There we go. So I'm keeping down the middle of the channel because that is where it is going to be the deepest. But this has proved what I wanted to find out was, can I get out on the side here? And I clearly can't, because even if I could get out, I'm not going to be able to climb that wall. That's probably 6 foot, 8 foot. I'm not going to be able to do that, especially carrying this boat. So we'll go round the corner and we'll get out by the steps, just having our last little view of the castle. In its heyday, that would have been, well, a fantastic castle. They're tiny archways on that bridge. That's the railway bridge, I think, as well. Wow. Be quite good to see a train come through there. I don't know what time the next train is. I can't see it in the station or on the track over there, so maybe later. So there's a little bit of a slipway there. I potentially could use that, although it does look like that belongs to that house, so can't use that. Yep, keep off. So we will follow instructions, but just round the corner here is an opportunity to get out, and that water has come up a tiny little bit, so I'm thinking here, and then I will just carry the kayak up onto the road and then I will put it on the trolley. do that very well. So there we go, a superb paddle at Conwy. An early start, but we had to catch the tide. So that gets us back off the water fairly early in the day and allowed me now to travel to our third location on our paddling trip. So yeah, this is a bit of a road trip, but I am working tomorrow, so there is a reason for sort of being in this area and doing all of this kind of stuff. So we're at our next location, and a little bit of a clue, you can see perhaps the wind farms in the background over there. That might be a big clue there. And then round this way, and we should see right down there another clue. So where are we? Find out in the next video.